So I designed the pavilion initially just a concept, university project. I wanted to build it, for real, rather than just a dissertation and then get a mark and then get a job after that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Cut Talk. My name is Jörg Lunch, and in this podcast, we are talking about computer-aided design, from software to hardware, from actual technology to future trends. My today's guest is Chun Qing Li. I hope I pronounced this right. Founder of KREODx. And he gave a talk, I think it was already a few years ago, I've seen on the internet, and he stated that we need to build New York City every few days or so. So the meaning is there's a huge demand in housing, living space worldwide. So I hope that will be very interesting today. Hello, Lee. Welcome to our podcast.
Good morning, Jörg. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. So, you've started your own business with KREODx after finishing university. Tell us a little bit about, let's say, motivation and goals. Well, how come?
Well, yes, it all started with a curiosity. When I was first-year student, I had a job offer from my teacher. He's still running his practice in Liverpool, and I was a bit surprised when I, in the real practice, in the real world, the buildings he was designing, they just, to be honest, not very pretty. In a way, it's quite ugly. And I just raised a question, because the way he was teaching us, so romantic, all these beautiful visions, ideas, but in the real practice, seems just copy paste things, just quite boring. So my question was, what do you need 7 years of education to come up something like this, apartment building, housing, or offices? And they said, well, Lee, that's why I'm teaching, because, the education keeps me young, the ideas, generating new ideas. That's the main reason I'm teaching, not for money, just, and that was the first, thoughts, the curiosity. If we spend 7 years doing this architecture studies, you come up with, something that doesn't really require a designer. You don't need a design degree to come up with a building like that. So there must be a better way. He said, Lee, you can't, because, the client, it all boils down to the cost. When you design something nice and the client's quantity surveyor always say, this is too expensive, simplify it. And this is where we're at, there's nothing we can do. And then that was the initial motivation, there must be a way. And I wanted to start my own practice, hopefully one day, and design something beautiful, but sustainable, but more importantly, financially viable. That's how I started. Yeah.
And you mentioned in the talk we had earlier that in history, until sometimes the Renaissance or so, there was the master builder, and he was the designer and the construction,
everything
in one person, and that separated at some point in time.
I think during the Renaissance, wasn't it? The traditional meaning, architecting in the mid-16th century meant chief builder or master builder. So the architect's role wasn't just the master of spatial effects, but they were also closely involved in the engineering, manufacturing, and construction processes. But it was shifted during the Renaissance. I mean, the designers, the architects want to do something more, glamorous, artistic. And the builders are just, the guy do the heavy lifting, playing mud on building sites. So that was a split. So yes, I think this is an interesting moment. I mean, even the recent history, not a long time ago, say 57 post-war, architects used to be the leader of the entire process, but they failed. And now, if you look at the industry, architecture is part of the team to get a design concept, a vision, and get a planning done, and then following that to deliver the drawing packages for pricing and the construction purposes. So this is a major shift, I think. So that's one of the reasons why we started the software and developments, is how do we regain this the medieval power, architect and the master builder, be the digital master builder and the physical master builders as well. So that's my vision actually.
And you had, I think it was still at university, you had this one project of this pavilion for the Olympics in London.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a burning desire. I just couldn't accept doing something, finish my university, doing some boring stuff. And I worked for Foster Partners in 2007, and I discovered the software called the Bentley Generative Components. And Foster Partners, KPF, they in partnership developed this application, and they've used this software delivered quite significant projects, landmark buildings, and in the computational design, and leading towards the digital fabrication. So that's how I started the process.
And you told me that one of the main questions was, what I've designed, or I had an idea, can this be built? That
was a thing. So following the work experience of Foster Partners, I went back to university for my part 2, in the UK called degree and the diploma, master degree. And in my part 2, I started this the dissertation called I invented my own topic. There were 50 topics, and invented my own. It was called computational design and digital fabrication, which I believed it was going to be the big thing in the near future. So yeah, so I designed the pavilion initially just a concept, university project. I wanted to build it, for real, rather than just a dissertation and then get a mark and then get a job after that. So I started this. It was just a concept. And when I presented this idea to my friends and teachers, and they were very encouraging. I said that it's impossible. I said thank you. To be honest, they were right, because the challenge I had wasn't just the solve the design problems, but more importantly, to raise the finance. So the question arises: who's the client? Who's the contractor? Where do we build it? All those questions I couldn't answer. But I thought, it was in the middle of recession. I had a job as well. Luckily, I got a job in 2010 as soon as I finished university. But during my kind of postgraduate work experience, I started pitching, this idea. So we were trying to build a pavilion during the London Olympics. So I was just did the research after work. The architectural practice, it finished quite late. So after that, I just, went home and have some food and, energy drinks, loads of coffee, and started, doing research at companies and writing letters to organizations. So after thousands of rejections and failures, I managed to convince quite big companies like Hewlett-Packard, Bentley Systems, and the Rambo is engineering. They sponsor the engineering services, and the Eco Timber from Cabinet, etc. So and I took this role as the client, as a principal contractor, project management. Well, apart from structural engineering, I did everything else. So it was a very stressful experience, considering I've never built anything in my life. That was too, in a way, was too much and too stressful. But we did it, with a team of volunteers, very nice people, and we made it happen for the London Olympics. Yeah, that was a significant achievement. Yeah.
Okay, let's turn the topic a little bit to software. You already mentioned Bentley Systems and your experience you had. You told me before that this huge CAD systems for designing aerospace, automotive industries, they're, let's say, a bit overdone for architecture and AEC industries and too expensive. And, but they have the advantage of that they have the capability of something like DFMA, design for manufacturing and assembly.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about this then.
Yeah, I discovered that the CATIA Dassault Systems when I was doing my research. As you may know, Frank Gehry, very famous American Canadian architects, his signature projects such as Guggenheim, Disney Concert Hall, very complex structures, and he was the man that he invested and developed his software on CATIA version 5 and later on version 6. I thought this is great, so interesting, because the project, his design projects were they're so complex, and they couldn't use these in a standard, the AutoCAD or any software to deliver them. It just and 2D drawings, there's no way you can describe the design, the geometry, and the fabrication, everything. So I thought it was quite interesting. So yeah, I was quite lucky, enroll this, the startup program and the Dassault system. So, and they started learning and using this CAD system, which is brilliant actually. And the challenge number one was, it's very different, it's different to any software. I'm very good, computational design, parametric designer, and this is something else that, and took me 6 months to get head around. And the first year just about doing something, and then realized that it's not viable because we don't have the talent pool. You see, if I need some help, I did get some consultants teaching our team and how to use this software. They were ex-Gary Technologies, GT, and obviously the business growing a little bit bigger. I realized that we couldn't scale because we couldn't find any architects who knows how to use CATIA. that was a challenge. So if something happens, say one of the guys leaves us for a better job or better paid job, whatever, so we'll be in trouble. So I thought this is not going to be viable. Let's explore the alternative. Can we develop software on the top CATIA so that you can automate the process? You capture the knowledge and they can automate the process. So anyone can just do a reference modeling. That's quite easy to learn. And then following that, you just choose the products. You just click and you automate and generates the shop drawings, or simply just manufacturing code that we've done in the light gauge steel frame, that drives the machine. So when you generate the framing, you design with an engineer, they say, bracing or extra support members. And then once it's agreed, and that automates the shop drawings, which we don't need. And more importantly, the manufacturing code that drives the machine. So we can get quotations from the manufacturer directly, rather than give the drawing package, to a quantity surveyor, and they can benchmark how much per square meter. This, I think I never understand this process. But anyway, so in a way, it was the beginning was quite, it's quite unusual, in the AEC industry, because usually in an architect scope, we just get a drawing package, whether you use BIM or 2D CAD drawings. The submission, the scope, the client's requirements always 2D drawing package in PDF and then DWG. So now so there was quite challenging. Some some developers, they don't understand it, but they understand the benefits. Quite few people, like especially contractors. So ultimately, you need a contractor as a developer. You need a contractor to deliver the project, but the contractors don't really understand the process. So that was the greatest challenge. And one interesting story was, I pitched a developer, and he loved it. I did a presentation, the PPT presentation. He said, "Wow, this is the future. Wow, this is amazing, man." And at the end, he paused for a few seconds. "Have you built anything with this technology yourself?" And I said, "No, I'm not a contractor." "Well, I can't be your guinea pig." So that was the moment that it was a wake-up call. I should start a construction company. Otherwise, we can never change this kind of dynamics, So that's the brief story. We can explore a bit in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you really started to to construct buildings, right?
Yes.
You had your own construction company.
Yeah. So this is it. Well, obviously did some research. I spoke to my accountant. My wife, she's also an accountant, and they have the data. And so many contracts that go bust. It's a brutal industry to enter. It's just not, it's not something you want to do. But I didn't listen. Actually, I need to, in a way we call it lift the cart. If you don't do anything yourself, nobody will ever use your software or technology. You see, nobody wants to be a guinea pig, because this is construction. It's not a consumer product. You see, if you buy a smartphone, you don't like it. You don't like some iPhone, and you just buy a Samsung. It's easy. But building, you can't just say, "Oh, it didn't work. Let's change another technology or contracts in the middle of the construction." This is quite risky, financially. So this is kind of and then there's one quotation I was inspired by Buckminster Fuller's quotation. He said that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So this is kind of, put lots of thoughts into that. We have to build. That's the key. All the things you see on the screen, you click and it's easy to use, so accurate, and it's beautiful stuff. But ultimately, people see, most companies are risk reversal. In reality, they say they're do this and do that, but ultimately they're very conservative. Risk is the least thing they want to take. So it's a human nature, really, obviously. So there's another story called. Have you ever heard this? There's a quote: "Nobody gets sacked for buying IBM."
Nope.
Back in the days, IBM was the most reliable computers for organization enterprise. So if you're the IT director and you just say, oh, we want to use Hewlett Packard or Dell, not IBM, they're too expensive or whatever the reasons. If something goes wrong down the line, which will anyway, it's a technology, isn't it? And what's going to happen to you if you're the IT director? Something goes wrong, and then suddenly got 200 people working in the office, and the computer shut down and couldn't work for 2 days, or just 2 hours. What's the impact to your business? So if you say we got IBM, if your IBM can't deliver, nobody else can. So you pass the blame to someone else. But if you say, oh, we use Hewlett Packard, something goes wrong, and there'll be a question: who made the decision buying Hewlett Packard? Well, you'll be sacked. So this is the kind of thing. It's just the human habits, which is a natural thing. It's all about aligning yourself with something in a way sounds more reliable than others. So back to this CAT system is, again, you just develop a software. You say you can do this and do that, but ultimately they're not liable. They're software developers. The contractors take the full responsibility. If that fails, so that's very tricky, isn't it? But now this is chicken egg issues. So if you have the developer who develops software and you haven't built anything yourself, who's going to use it? It's very difficult. It's a big barrier from 0 to 1, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tough decision I had to make. Made a very bold move. Let's start a construction company. We have a project here. Let me convince the client, the developer clients. So I did the DFMA package, design for manufacturing assembly package, as well as the traditional 2D drawings we extracted from 3D. And I convinced the clients that I can build this for you. And this is an open book contract. This is how much it actually costs you. Mm. And I convinced. That's how we started this. Yeah, we are our own guinea pig now. So
yeah. And you're still there, so that's
still there.
Let's say it's in a way successful after a few years, and now you're starting with a new software. And the statement you gave is that it will change.
Intelligently revolutionizing the business model of the AEC industry.
Of AEC. Yeah. Oh, that's a big statement.
It's not just the software, really. When I've been doing this in construction, they're small, projects we've been building. But when I started the construction business, I realized there's a huge gap between AE architecture engineering is like husband and wife. They're doing things, butterflies flapping around, get things done, good stuff. But the construction is over the Mars. It's a very different. It's a different thing, in terms of people have a different value, different mindset, different business model, different ideologies. It's completely different. So this is I realized, wow, there's a huge gap and there's so much waste, so unsustainable, this process, I can explain a bit more in a minute. So how do we bridge the gap between the AE and this alien C? So this is that's our software actually is building around it, understanding been talking to different contractors and also subcontractors and the manufacturers, understand their procurement process, which is it's just so naive. For example, say there's one project, the client approached us. He told us a story. I have this project, it's £10 million, and plus contingency, all that stuff, material fluctuations. So over the next 3 years, it's going to cost me £13.2 million. I've been doing this for 3 decades. I know everything. It's a 13.2 million. And the bank's willing to give me £14 million to do this, and they can make a profit out of that. But why would the people give this job when they procurement, why would there's a developer would appoint a contractor who priced for 8.1 million? It's a £4 million, £5 million difference. How is that viable? Do you see what I mean? So that's the thing. This process is you let people in, and then obviously everybody knows it's not viable. Those you can start issuing, the contracts usually issue the design change or variation order. We call them variation order, exchange time, trying to get their money back so they can reach to the point in 3 years' time. Ultimately, they charge 13.8 million or 14.2, things like that, But the client said to me, that's raised a very good point. I know how much it costs me, right? So I don't want to have this contract on board contact me every second day asking for more money, because my time and our time is so expensive. Because when they issue a variation order, obviously meaning they want to charge more money, I've got a team of quantity surveyors need to engage in my department, to engage like 2 people, and plus me and the other, to understand what's the cost, what's going up exactly, interrogate and negotiate. You see, it's very time intense. It's very intense. The timing wise, and also it costs so much money. They want to free themselves. I want something certainty. I want certainty now. After the pandemic, everybody's looking for certainty. The age of competitive tender, I think, is sort of dying because people there's nothing certain. So this is a kind of we're kind of bridging the gap between this so many like between the AE, the developer, and the AEC industries. Kind of when we're generating this the technology developed initially on the Dassault system CATIA. Now we're on the KREODx software, which is due to launch in October. It's a kind of how do we streamline the process and make it more transparent, more efficient, and more certainty. So this is why we're using the slogan rather than just the CAT system. You can do, if you do 10 clicks on Revit and 1 click on KREODx, that's not the point.
So your software will launch this month in October. You mentioned this.
October, yes.
And you're bridging the gap. Does it also mean that you're speeding up projects from idea to really construction? Will it be faster?
It will be faster. That's the bottom line. Definitely, it will be efficient, but the process is slightly differ to the we use BIM, building information modeling, and when you do BIM, the architect engineer, they do this 3D BIM modeling, and there's a form of intelligence. You can extract some, if you make some changes, certain things will update, and some scheduling is quite good. But the thing is, if you think logically, if you BIM everything up, and you end up issuing 2D drawing packages for construction procurement and then construction after that, to me it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, isn't it? Because you have the BIM and the construction industry, they just need the 2D drawings. That's how they work. Give me the specification, give me the drawing package, and they'll come up with some numbers. What's the point of all this? What's the game changing? It's definitely, the BIM is definitely more efficient than the 2D CAD drawings for sure, because but it's not game changing in my opinion, is it? You still get the 2D drawings ultimately. That's what the industry do. So there's a kind of so many multiple faceted kind of things needs to change within the industry. I think the contractors is the most powerful role in this entire process, because they are taking the full responsibility on the delivery side. So they need to pick up some changes. I've spoken to so many tier 1 contractors. There's a huge, they spend a lot of money actually, the digitization, and then some, beef up the knowledge and integrate everything, collaboration, integration using BIM. But the reality is the methodology they use, the outdated methodology, They want to change, but at the same time, there's a project running. They on the firefighting mode, you see, surviving modes. They don't have the time. You think about that. It's true, actually. They don't have the time to kind of testing things, because this is something needs to be done now.
Yeah.
And design needs to be changed. And because your larger project like Tier 1, the hospital, they've got 2,000 people on site. Any delays, people not doing much just for a day, how much would that cost you? Just on the labor cost.
Yeah.
So this is something, we kind of building a piece of software, kind of that fits, trying to find out, we're building stuff that ticks a very big box. When I pitch to the contractors now, previously we're just, you click this and it does that. It models everything and then it can do the fabrication. They said, yeah, it's a good idea. That's good feedback, but nobody wants to use it. But now the conversation different. This is a project. You still saying same. I still say the same thing. The click doing this and that. DFMA, the new workflow. But I built this. I built that. So suddenly the dynamic of the conversation is different. People think you're not talking rubbish here. You know the business. So it's just, the reason I use the word business because it is a business at the end of the day, and the software is just a tool.
Yeah, of course.
So
that was very interesting. Probably you can mention the website again for your new product. It's KREODx.com, right?
Yeah.
Or .com?
KREODx.com. Yeah, it's due to launch in October this year.
So goes out to all our audience. Have a look at it, and probably you can register or something that you get notified when it's available. And so it was very interesting, and keep my fingers crossed that you will be able to change the business model in construction.
Hope so. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. That's it for today. I hope this episode was interesting for you. If you have any feedback, just drop me a line at info@cuttalk.de. And don't forget to click the subscribe button to our podcast, then you don't miss any future episodes. For today, I say goodbye and talk to you in 4 weeks' time. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.